Good job.
Welcome back to our Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you, Brandon, for that intro. Very nice.
I apologize. I'm putting up a thing. You'll see it. It'll pop up.
It'll pop up. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, you'll understand what's going on. For those of you that are listening to us on iTunes, you're like, why is this intro going this way? Well, you know, we're new. We're new to YouTube, so excuse us. Make sure to find us on herfantasyfootball.com and on iTunes. Ranking us 5 stars would be wonderful, and lovely comments as well. You can also chat us up on Twitter at herfantasyfb. And on Facebook at Facebook.com/herfantasyfootball. I'm your host, Courtney Kirby.
And I'm Ashley Williams.
And that's Brandon Lee.
That's Brandon Lee. That's Brandon.
She's very excited about her Google effects. She can't stop herself. It's amazing. Hopefully you all heard our previous shows on running backs and quarterbacks. This week
and I'm Brandon Lee.
Uh-oh. Do we have a
You
delay?
can see me, right?
Yeah.
We already introduced you because you didn't say anything.
Well,
We forgot about you. It's going to be a show.
Am I frozen?
This is a perfect spot to tell you that we recorded this.
Well, I
wide
did.
receiver
I said I was Brandon Lee.
live. Live, and we're live.
Oh.
We recorded this show on July 2nd. So any injuries between July 2nd and now when we're posting it, we're unaware of. So we're moving on, okay? So we're going to be speaking of this as if it's July 2nd. So bear with us. Brandon, any social media questions?
I'm nervous. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yeah, can you hear us?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, McFly.
Housekeeping?
Your pillow. Got social media questions?
I can hear you guys fine. Hello?
You can't hear us fine at all.
No, I hear you. I hear you fine. You can't hear me?
No, we can hear. We're in a good spot now. Do you want to tell us your social media questions for wide receivers?
Okay. I hate being live. This is cranky. It's fine. Okay, so one of our social media questions is from Jay Miller at JBIRJ. Why not? And he asks, given a chance, what position would each of you ladies want to play?
I already answered this one. I didn't realize it was social media, but safety. Obviously. I want to lay people out. And it's still the glory position where you can still have an opportunity to score or get an interception, running back. More importantly, you get to lay people out in the middle of the field. That's what I'd play.
I like that. That's good. I think I would be a kicker.
I was going to say you'd be a kicker.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
It is my personality to be a kicker. I don't want all the lights on me, but people are going
Courtney
to
doesn't like impact.
anyways because I'm going to win you the damn game. So, I mean, really, it's a win-win situation being a kicker.
I'd be a pass rusher, so defensive end or in linebacker, depending on the formation.
Look at that.
Yeah. I just want to be a pass rusher. I'm a defensive girl because I can't catch anything.
That's true. Your hand-eye coordination.
But I can be a little mean.
Somebody's going to analyze all of our choices and tell us exactly what that means about our personalities. I guarantee it.
Yes.
It means I'm a little big and a little nasty.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I think. If I had a kid, I'd tell them to be a linebacker. I'd be like, oh, that's you. Sorry. Genetics.
Funny.
Genetics.
That's the way it is.
That's good.
Yeah. More? Is that what you're
More,
saying?
please.
Yeah.
More? Hold on.
Give it
Okay.
to me, baby.
Yeah, we didn't sing in the other shows. That's sad.
So
That is
sad. So
It's because we
sad.
didn't do More Money, More Problems.
That's
The
true.
hit known as More Money, More Problems.
The hit. Or not so much.
No, that's not true. Okay. At Andrew892 says, my wife watched Eric Decker's reality show and loves Demarius Thomas more than Eric. Do you share the same love as her?
Why, yes.
Yes.
Yes. I
I
think.
protest reality TV.
Have you seen that show?
And I won't watch anything that's not reality TV. So,
We balance each other out.
yes. And yeah, I've seen the show and I've turned it off many times too.
I got sucked in for like 3 shows in a row.
Ooh.
I did too. They had marathon on and I
Yeah.
did get, yeah. So it was
But not
Saturday
because
though,
it
and
was
there's nothing
good.
on TV. Yeah.
But you don't get sucked in because it's good. You get sucked in kind of like the looky-loos on a highway where you're like, is this happening?
Right.
It's kind of sad, you know? You're just like, oh, you're so pretty. Stop talking. You know? That's how I felt about it. More than anything.
agree.
But yeah, Demarius Thomas, I like him better as a player. Or are we talking on a personal level? I mean, either way, I like DT.
Yes.
I enjoy Decker because he played for my Broncos. He also played for my Golden Gophers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Minnesota, hats off to thee. And then he's now playing in my home state. Well, across the river in New Jersey, but you know, the Jets. So he's kind of following me around. I'm into it.
He is. He's a stalker.
Stalking
Totally
me.
stalking you.
Let's start that rumor.
Right?
Yeah.
Restraining order time.
Yeah, so Jamie Betker on Facebook asked, you'll probably do this anyway, but old faces, new places, and the effect on their numbers, specifically for PPR type leagues. Her examples were Ben Tate, my boy MJD, and James Jones. And so I'm thinking, we're also talking Deshaun Jackson, Eric Decker. I'm going to take a minor lead on this. I'm a little more concerned about changing places for wide receiver than running back because wide receivers have routes. It's a little more of a difficult game plan maneuvering
More chemistry
situation.
based. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you got to work with the quarterback. It's not like you hand them the rock and they, find light and run, right? I mean, it's a little more instinct driven when you're running back. With wide receiver, it's like, you got to be able to hit your routes. So I think that people can do it, but I'm a little tempered for my excitement for Deshaun Jackson. I know a lot of people are really, really excited, but I don't know. And when it comes to PPR especially, I think the wide receivers hurt even more because they're not going to be the person they lean on because they're new. It's not like, Brandon Marshall and Jay Cutler, they know each other so well that he just dumps the ball to him. That's not going to happen in 1 year with a wide receiver. So I think with the PPR league, I would actually take them down a notch. What about you ladies?
I don't think it's Deshaun you have to worry about. I think it's his quarterback you have to worry about.
Yeah.
And, there's already a one wide receiver there. RG3 is no Peyton Manning. He can't make 4 people rock stars in fantasy football. And so it's not him that worries me, it's who's around him that worries me. Although they have all, the ingredients to make a fantastic meal, so we'll see. Eric Decker, I think, is a perfect example of take Peyton Manning out of the equation and you are nothing like you were. I just don't see him. He's not, as smart, although he is a very hard worker and he's very dedicated, and the Jets are hard workers and they're dedicated, but they're on and off kind of team, and that I feel like is how Decker is going to be. He drops a lot of balls, and I think that that's going to come out this year with the Jets. So.
Yeah, I don't think Decker will be as good. I think he'll be, I would say somewhere between a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 3. Again, I know I love Tampa right now. I'm kind of excited for like the Vincent Jacksons of the world, because I think it's different when you got a one quarterback coming in and learning a play than when you've got a bunch of different moving parts trying to figure an offense out. And I think that McCown has kind of proved that he can come in and get things done and make things happen. And they've got Lovie Smith, who's a great coach that really tries to build that chemistry. And so I think that's kind of exciting. And it's a total homer pick, but I think Emmanuel Sanders could be a really exciting place because, like you did say, Courtney, you do have a Peyton Manning who is known for getting the absolute best he can out of a player. And he took even Demaryius Thomas, who is already a really good wide receiver, and just elevated him, made him so much better because he demands excellence from you. And I think someone like Emmanuel Sanders being demanded some discipline that perhaps he wasn't demanded so much with the Steelers would really behoove him. So I think that's another really interesting combo to watch.
We've barely talked about the Steelers over our session.
We haven't, yeah.
That's going to change here, people.
I don't have him.
But they have Antonio Brown, so things are looking up.
He's fine. Yeah, he's a great pick, people. He's a safe one.
Things are looking up.
Yeah, they're looking up. They're looking up. You guys, you can also listen to our show on SoundCloud, Stitcher, on our website, iTunes. So please come out, listen to our previous shows. We're talking about every position this month. So enjoy yourselves. But let's get into it, ladies. When are you going to draft your first wide receiver? When's it happening?
Well, as I stated on the other shows, Calvin Johnson. What? Is this a question? Courtney Kirby, of all the people to ask this question.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I couldn't spit it out fast enough. Calvin Johnson, Demaryius Thomas, AJ Green, Brandon Marshall, Des Bryant, Jordy Nelson, Antonio Brown. Love them. 5 people had over 100 receptions last year, though, and I just want to put this out. Antonio Brown, my man. Then it was, but the first one was actually Pierre Garçon with 113 catches, which is crazy. And then Andre Johnson had 109. Julian Edelman had 105.
That one shocked me.
Shocking. And then Brandon Marshall had 100, and that's only because Cutler didn't play every game. Because
he would have had more.
Yeah.
Come on.
So, 150 probably.
Yeah. But if you add McCown and Cutler's stats together.
Yeah. So why don't we just add Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffries together, and we have 189 receptions.
That's right.
Isn't that crazy? Right. There are another 89 receptions to the second guy. That's crazy town. Mark Trestman. Hi. I love him. Okay, so I don't know. I guess for me, because I cover Chicago, so I'm going to bore all of you all season by only talking about Chicago Bears people. You're welcome. But anyway, I just want to say that it's so rare to have 2 major studs up there, but I would draft both of them early. And as I said, I'm kind of into drafting top-tier wide receivers if the top-tier running backs are gone. And then, if you're in a PPR league, I'd kind of stick on the wide receiver train, especially if you have a flex and you can use a wide receiver as a flex. Because last year I used Jordy Nelson in my flex. Crazy.
Crazy town.
But I had Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown, so I was able to do that. But, so I would say take upside wide receivers before you take kind of dubious running backs as well. So that's kind of my draft mantra when it comes to wide receivers.
I like it. Wide receiver going draft 2 or 3. Round 2 or 3. I mean, someone will grab Megatron in the first round.
Right.
it inevitably happens. Somebody always bucks the trends. Like, I'm gonna get him early. I'm gonna get him. Play of the draft. But I mean, reality, you can't really lose by picking up Megatron, right? Like, it's not a bad thing, in all honesty. I mean, and if you're that person, you're gonna get laughed at. But what do you care? You got Megatron, right? So, I completely agree with Brandon's top tier. Except I would maybe throw the ever gorgeous Julio Jones in the mix. Maybe for Jordy Nelson. I don't know. Jordy makes me nervous. They have so many options in Green Bay. But I mean, he was also the 11th best receiver last year, with Aaron Rodgers not even playing majority of the season. So maybe I'm nervous for no reason. And Rodgers is back, and he's the main man, and he loves throwing to Jordy. So I mean, he'll probably have a great year. Alshon makes me a little nervous for the sheer fact that Cutler is back, and Cutler, and Marshall have that love affair, and happy wife is a happy life, right, Courtney? So
that's right.
Cutler's going to want to keep Marshall happy, but I'm hoping that he really saw just how actually more productive their team was by opening up that second option with Jeffrey. It really did actually open up Marshall more, so I hope that he kind of saw that and that I could actually incorporate that a bit more. And I would say your wide receiver 2 is going to go in that round 3 or 4. Maybe even 5. I mean, it's all going to depend, honestly, on where people start picking up the quarterbacks, as odd as that is to say. Because people are going to go running backs first, but it's going to depend if people are putting a little bit more of a priority on wide receivers in your league, or if they're going to put more of a priority on the quarterback. So,
well, there you go. I don't know about you ladies, but my fantasy relationships get really serious and clear-cut when it comes to wide receivers. Like, dead on. This is it. No, thank you. Where are your emotional picks?
Well, Megatron and Demaryius Thomas are not really emotional picks, because Megatron is like the pick, right? I mean, he's the pick, and then same kind of for DT. So I guess I'd maybe say Deshaun Jackson, because I do think there's a lot of kind of risk-reward situation going here where you're not really sure how he's going to do, right? I mean, RG3 makes me nervous, and Jackson is flashy and he's loud and he's talented. He's kind of, that makes him that triple threat for a guy's man crush, kind of like Des Bryant. So, I mean, they're definitely emotional picks because, you love to hate him, or you hate to love him. And I don't know. I mean, he's taking his talents to DC. We'll see how that train wreck plays out, but it could be really good. So, I don't know. I guess he'd be my emotional pick that I think there's enough chance for reward that makes that risk doable. Doable. Not my wide receiver 1, though.
No.
Wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I mean, Calvin Johnson and I are going strong. We are just fine. We are in love with each other. I love him even if he's not playing on my team. I can't help it. I root for him because he's amazing and very attractive. Now, even though Julio Jones' body gave up on me last year, I'm not giving him up on this year. I love him. We're back on. It's getting serious as well. E2 is beautiful.
Beautiful, that bone structure.
Oh, I love it. And I feel like my new boyfriend of the year is going to be Keenan Allen. My husband, my quarterback husband,
all in on
is throwing him the ball, so why not? If my quarterback husband loves him, well then, I should too. So, I'm going Keenan this year. Is going to be my emotional pick. I'll stay away from Rod Streeter.
That's smart. That's good, Courtney.
Thank you.
I'm glad we've moved on from him.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to say that my emotional pick is a sad one. It's a sad day. It's Doug Baldwin, because Percy Harvin is always hurt. Yeah, and you can
so much sad as a reality.
Okay, well that's true, but I don't want to. Percy Harvin is such an exciting player. I mean, he is really great when he plays, but he's only played 16 games once, and that was in 2011. He's never broken 1,000 yards in a season, and even though he's talented, you know what? This is interesting. One of the questions that people ask me a lot when I say that I do fantasy football and all-female fantasy football podcasts, they're like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, well, I don't want to perpetuate stereotypes, but if I were to perpetuate stereotypes, one of the things that guys do is that they're like, Percy Harvin has the most talent, right? It's the same kind of thing with Colin Kaepernick. No, it's talent, upside, it's this, it's that. And I'm like, yes, I totally agree. But when I'm playing a game, I also need to have a certain set of numbers.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, I think that women are kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, I know he's talented, but I also know that he's never had over 1,000 years. So and Doug Baldwin, you can get in, like, the 10th round. They're acting like he's not even playing on the field. They sent away Golden Tate. So... And Golden Tate was the number 1 wide receiver for their team last year. And Percy Harvin caught 1 pass for 17 yards last year.
You know what I don't understand? Why has Percy Harvin not gotten Botox yet?
Yeah, that does help with migraines. It's perfect.
It helps with migraines, right?
He might have gotten Botox.
Maybe he's tried it. What?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe he has.
Maybe he has. I mean...
Maybe it's an illegal substance for them, though.
That's you are right, though, Brandon. It is shocking because usually us women will justify guys' bad behavior and date people and be like, but he could really be a good boyfriend. Like, he did this one nice thing this one time, and if he just did that all the time, things would be great. Yet guys see this role reverses with fantasy, and they really do sit there and say, oh, he's so talented, he's got such upside. Well, guess what? Upside doesn't win you your fantasy league.
I love how we're talking about this while we're talking about our emotional picks. Yes, we're still women. We're still women.
But it is
emotional. I agree. It's emotional that I have to say there's a guy who does have talent that I cannot genuinely believe is going to stay on the field. And that I also... people held on to Percy Harvin all year last year. He sat on people's benches for 16 games, and he never played.
You ate a spot on your roster all season long.
Now, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen this year, and I do think he's going to play in more games. But do I think he's going to play in all 16? Well, I'm not going to bank on it. But I am going to bank on Doug Baldwin doing it. They love him there. They consider him a leader on the offense. Golden Tate's not there anymore, and somehow you can get the guy in like the latest round possible.
But if you're going to have an emotional pick like that for an upside, that's Gronkowski. Because Gronkowski will get you, when he plays his 8 to 10 games a season, he's scoring you double-digit points every single time.
Yeah.
Percy Harvin isn't necessarily doing that. He's going to have one crazy, big, huge, maybe like 3 big, huge games, but then he's going to have some very just like, standard, mediocre games. Gronk doesn't do that. Gronk gets you big numbers every single time he plays. He doesn't play all the time, but that's worth the upside of keeping him on your bench, on your roster, because when he is healthy, he will, I just think Percy's a little different. It's hard because emotionally, he's got the talent to do it.
Absolutely.
Well, who's going to have the talent in 2014 to be the sleeper that everybody should either draft or pick up off the waiver wire?
Sleeper, you say? Sleeper. I'm going Eric Decker.
Jet, Homer. How
embarrassing.
I'm a little bit of a homer. But... I'm a double homer. I'm actually a triple homer because he was been in all 3 of my states. But the whole point here is that you can get him. His ADP right now is number 78. Okay, so you can get him in like the 7th round, and he's this number 1 wide receiver on a team. Is the team helmed by Geno Smith / Michael Vick? Yes, that's true.
I was going to say, so is Rod Streeter. He's number 1 for the Oakland Raiders. That doesn't mean you draft him.
Yeah. There's no getting around the Geno Smith, Michael Vick.
No.
Well, I will say that Geno Smith had some decent games, and so did his wide receivers. It was just hard to calculate. I think it's going to be better this year. And I think Eric Decker is a much bigger talent than people give him credit for. I mean, he was a top 10 wide receiver in the league. I have a hard time believing that still being a starter, he's going to be less than in the top 30.
I'll give you top 30. But I wouldn't waste a wide receiver 1 pick on him.
No, but he's a sleeper because no one thinks he's going to do anything. And especially like if you can figure out the Smith-Vick train, like the ups and down weeks, and figure it out, I think he's actually going to get a lot of value. That's my thing. Like when it comes to sleepers, where you get him, you're going to get more value for him. But no one's drafting him as a number 1 guy. No one's even drafting him as a number 2 guy. Only some people are drafting him as a number 3, but I think you can get him as a number 4 guy. Especially if like the preseason's a little ho-hum and everyone's down on the Jets, which I don't know, that's I guess called preseason. So that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to be a fire sale. I would pick him up.
Awesome.
I liked it.
Golden Gophers.
So I'm going to go with Harry Douglas.
And
I'm not sure if he's considered a sleeper or not, but he should be a wide receiver 3 on your roster. So he actually played a pretty big role last year with Roddy White and Julio Jones being out, which did prove to Matt Ryan that he can be counted on, which I think people don't take that as much into consideration as they should, because a lot of that chemistry between a receiver and a quarterback is trust. He's got to trust that you're going to run your route. He's going to trust that you need to be where you need to be. And once he has that, he's so much more likely to throw it to you than if he doesn't, And I think Harry really proved himself last year with that. And I think we haven't yet quite seen if Roddy and Julio are coming back full strength. So I think that, we got to kind of watch preseason and see just how much you can incorporate Harry Douglas into the plays. But I think as a wide receiver 3, he's got a lot of upside to have some big boom weeks, especially depending on offense, because they're going to be double-teaming Julio or double-teaming Roddy, and that's going to just leave Harry open. So I like me some Douglas.
Hey.
And Matt Ryan's going to come back this year. It's going to happen.
It's going to come back. I agree, Ashley. I'm all about Atlanta Falcons.
Super Bowl.
Maybe. Super Bowl.
Maybe.
Cleveland Browns.
Last year I rode the Rod Streeter train. Until it just kept crashing.
The wheels came off.
It was undrivable. So, but I will say he is ranked number 1 wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders. And yes, I said the Oakland Raiders, so it's whatever. But still, he wasn't number 1 last year, and now he's number 1. So take it as you will.
We're number 1
this year.
There's so much potential.
He does. This year I am going with Ruben Randall. Because like Ashley saying, it's Atlanta's year, it's the Giants' year to come back and be a whole lot better than they were last year.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not putting them in the top 10 or anything or saying Super Bowl. But I'm saying they're going to be better. Ruben Randall is great, and Mr. Salsa Victor Cruz is covered all the time. People just double team him. That's it on the team, and Ruben Randall can be the man. He can be the man. Last year he had 6 touchdowns, 2 more than Cruz. So he is a great pick, people. I like him. I'm into him. Also, Patterson for the Minnesota Vikings. People, for some reason, sometimes people forget about him. We have him ranked 22nd. I think that is a perfect spot for him. I think he's really great, and I think once the season starts rolling, he's just going to move up and up and up and up. He's a freak. I love him. And Peterson needs him to be even more effective this year running. So I'm enjoying him as a wide receiver. I hope to draft him as well. So,
but you wouldn't take him as like a wide receiver 1, right?
No. Unless I draft 2 running backs, and then if I wait on wide receivers, maybe I guess, but I'm not planning on doing that. Most people shouldn't do that. But no, I wouldn't take a 1. But Patterson, he's not. He might end up being a number. I'd say he's a number 2 wide receiver, but high end number 3. But I will say I think he will be a number 1 wide receiver when all said and done come December.
Well, you think he'll be a wide receiver 1 by the end of December?
Yeah, in a 10-man league, I think so. Yeah, he's really good.
I love him.
Use him. New offense. I think that new coach. I think that they're really gonna incorporate him a lot. They're gonna get him on the field. He didn't even play all the time last year. You know, like they didn't even have him on the field half the time. So this year he's gonna really.
I feel like he's another one of those guys that's like potential. I think he's better than some of these other guys that this potential thing because he could be really great. But again, it's all whether they actually use him because he didn't actually score that many points last year. I mean, it's again
that's
because
what I'm saying.
They didn't utilize
use
him.
Yeah.
But I mean, they may not
Frazier's
utilize him
gone.
again this year.
Well, they have a new offense, so we'll see. You know, I think
he's a talented kid. That's for sure.
He's a very talented kid. I think
Kiddo.
He's a cutie patootie.
He's a man.
He's a man.
Just has an adorable little face. I guess my only concern would be I kind of feel like he's in the same boat as Toby Gerhart, where I am excited for them, but unfortunately so is everyone else.
Yeah.
And they're kind of overdrafting him. So, like, I don't feel like he's someone to reach for, but if he totally messes up in the preseason and he drops a little, then definitely take him because he won't, as you said, he's not going to be down for long. He's super talented. But, like, you know, people are really down on Keenan Allen for some reason, which I think is insane. But I wouldn't even come close to drafting Cordero Patterson over Keenan Allen. Not even close.
No.
Even though I like him, you know? So I just think that this is another one of those examples of listen to what's coming out of camp and what people, the potential talk, but then also look at your tiers. To me, Keenan Allen's in a different tier than Cordero Patterson.
But they also have an offense that's based on Phillip Rivers and
I was gonna say
and airing it out, which is perfect for Keenan Allen. Whereas the Vikings, they're a run-first offense. Whether new offense or not, you got Adrian Peterson, so of course you're going to be a run-first offense. But they should do better to incorporate him more because that is going to open up.
But Patterson is a runner too. They play him as a running back as well. He's not only just catching the balls; they use him as a running back as well. So he's all over the field, you know. You can get sneaky points out of Patterson that you can't get out of other wide receivers in that range of wide receivers. So you always have to look at that when you're thinking, you know, about drafting him. Although he does have to do punt returns as well, which means he could get injured. There's kind of a big mix of emotions with him, but I feel like he's a very safe wide receiver 3.
That brings up a good point. Look at your league settings, people, and see if you get credit under wide receiver points if they return kicks or punts. Because in some leagues, you get points if you have that wide receiver in your wide receiver spot. In other leagues, you don't get those points. If you had, you know, Patterson, you wouldn't get those points. The defense, whoever has the Vikings defense gets those points.
Which
so
nobody would
how your settings are because he's a far more vastly important player as a receiver if you do get points for that.
Yep. Good
Look
call,
at your
Ashley.
settings.
Well, and then also look to see if you get it just for the touchdowns or if you also get the yards.
Yards, yeah, because sometimes you only get points for touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's a fluke thing, so you can't really depend on that. But if you can get yards, well, but there are very few leagues.
I don't think there's any. Yeah.
He's fabulous. He's fabulous. I just think it's interesting that he's under the sleepers because I'm just worried that he's a little bit of a stretch. But I think you're right. I think he is a sleeper, which is what makes me uncomfortable when people act like he's stud muffin. Does that make sense? Like I'm kind of like interesting. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Absolutely. Well, this is the reason why probably we're hesitant on is because we've all been burned by our wide receiver draft picks. It's going to happen, you know? I mean, you have 3 positions in most leagues that you have to fill, you know, sometimes 2, but somebody's going to kill you, you know? In one way or another, you're going to get somebody like a Harry Douglas I had on my team that got me 0 points in a game or whatever. So who are you okay with passing up this year?
I am 100% okay passing on Dwayne Bowe.
Really?
I mean, Bowe has been like fairly useless to you the last few seasons, honestly. And at this point, I would rather be burned by him doing well on someone else's roster than burning myself on my roster. I I just can't. You know what I'm saying, right? Because he's gonna have a couple big games. Expect that it's gonna happen. But are you willing to, completely use a roster spot for Dwayne Bowe for 2 big games the entire season when he's gonna get you 2 to 3 points every other single game?
No.
No.
That
right.
Answer?
I can't. I can't. And then same goes for me with Brian Hartline.
Oh. Right. Oh, man.
Right? I struck a chord with that one, right?
Oh, sleeper, I want to be out of my mind forever.
And here's what's weird. I mean, the guy had 4 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards, but he only had 76 receptions on 134 attempts. That means he is dropping the ball a lot, which is extremely frustrating to you when you're actually watching the game, And what the stats don't show that is the most frustrating parts is that the balls that he dropped were big plays.
Right.
Like big plays that you could have gotten a lot of points on. And he's dropping the balls. It's so hard to watch. And what's really sad is when you see a player like that and he's dropping balls in those kind of scenarios, it trusts you that he's not a big player and will make the big play when he needs to, and that it makes you nervous to ever play him because you're constantly seeing him drop balls. Yeah, I got over 1,000 yards, but he's the kind of guy that will lose you your game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm always concerned about the very lovely Torrey Smith.
Oh, he is lovely, isn't he?
He is lovely, but I'm concerned, and it's not just him, but it's Flacco and the new offense. That I will need to see how it plays out this offseason before I get crazy drafting any of the Ravens. Not that I plan on drafting Flacco or Ray Rice, really. So
Thank you.
Just it's Torrey, and he just scares me. There's a lot of talent in wide receiver position for Indianapolis, so it scares me if I draft Reggie Wayne or T.Y. Hilton or Hakeem Nicks. Although Luck is very talented, and I feel like he will have, be able to spread the ball around, but it does scare me that it's going to be, not a lot of love going around too. It's all that
they're all boom and bust.
They're all boom and bust, and it's not
Especially
exciting.
T.Y.
Yeah. It's that scares me. I'm not saying pass on the Colts. Don't pass on them. I'm just saying just know what you're getting yourself into. There's a lot of talent and maybe not enough time in a football game to get them the fantasy points you want.
Speaking of the New Orleans Saints,
they wrote the book on this one.
I feel like the New Orleans Saints, other than Drew Brees and Jimmy Graham, are maybe the worst fantasy football team ever.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, even their kicker, they couldn't.
The kicker's a nightmare. Running backs by committees everywhere. Wide receivers, you have no clue who's catching what when.
Ugh, Kenny Stills. Be still my heart.
Be still.
But Marcus Colston, it's like he's so hot and cold, and I don't like to blacklist teams. Every team has talented players. It's what the league's all about. But not if they don't get used. So I just last year was Marcus Colston's his career lowest yards, 943, his career lowest catches at 75, and his career lowest touchdowns at 5. 5. Number 1 wide receiver gets 5 touchdowns all season. Yowza. Now he could improve. The good news is you don't have to take him towards one of the first rounds anymore. Remember those days?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't, hate him. It's not like, stay away. But definitely just, like you said, know what you're getting into. It's not a situation that I really care for. However, with this whole Jimmy Graham drama, debacle, scenario, whatever you want to call it, maybe they will use their wide receivers more because Jimmy Graham is not a happy camper. So I don't know. It's a little much for me. I get nervous. I'm definitely not going to reach for him wide receiver 1 or 2. even for wide receiver 3 or flex, I'm a little nervous. So just
Who
putting
was
that
the
out there.
touchdown vulture? Henderson.
Ah, yes.
Remember him?
Yes.
I've blocked that
Yeah.
account. It's painful.
You would just be screaming at him because you have Marcus Colston and he got you down the field and it's right there to catch a touchdown. And just kidding, we're through to this random guy.
And like Percy Harvin, for a completely different reason, these people are freakishly talented. So certainly, I'm not saying that he stinks as a football player. I'm just telling you their game plan is extremely frustrating. And as a fantasy owner, there are better options. And I would take Eric Decker over Marcus Colston, which I know sounds crazy, but I feel like at least he'll get used consistently. Who's that?
My dog. She's freaking out.
Aww, Funky Brewster. She actually has some opinions about this.
She's a really big Saints fan, so she's kind of upset with you right now, I think is what's going on.
But I do like the idea of this blacklist. I think, Courtney, you should create a Pinterest page of the blacklist. And, like, the Carolina Panthers running backs and everyone but Drew Brees and Jimmy Graham from the Saints should be on it.
Yeah.
We'll just keep adding throughout the season. The black.
I'll put it right next to the Rest in Peace Josh Freeman page.
Perfect.
Oh,
perfect.
Jeez. I love that he's in New York now. I do want to remind people that Jeremy Maclin is a fantastic football player real quick. He didn't play last season because he had that terrible injury at the beginning where he was going to be the man and then it didn't work out. So they let Deshaun go because they felt confident in Jeremy Maclin and Riley Cooper pairing up. And I am confident as well. And you can get him rather low. And Riley Cooper rather low. I'm just going to take a moment to say also, I think it's worth, if he's available in the last 2 or 3 rounds, just take a flyer on Josh Gordon. I think they're going to contest this, and I think he's going to be back. I think he's going to be back before the end of the season. And even if he's only in there for the last 3 games, he could win you your championship.
That's right.
The Browns want him back, so it's not like Justin Blackmon where the Jaguars are kind of done with him.
Right.
They're not really pushing for anything. They're like, I haven't had any contact with him, whatever. Josh Gordon, they're really trying to get back. So I wouldn't take him any earlier than like your last 3 rounds because I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And not only that, but someone that might take him might need that roster spot and might drop him, and then maybe you snatch him back up. But I think he's worth a flyer because you know what? Sometimes you get down in this like depth here, and it's just like, ugh.
But I wouldn't expect a decision on that until you're actually in the season, people. So like, if you don't get nervous, because they're not going to make that decision preseason, because they still have to make a stance on him to some extent. Although clearly already suspending him for the first 4 or 6 games last season didn't really do a whole lot. He's still making the same mistakes.
2.
But
He was only suspended 2 games.
It was only 2. Well, clearly hasn't learned his lesson. So part of me feels like
No.
They should not let him back in. But fantasy-wise, it'd be awesome for you if you did take that flyer on him. But don't be scared away because there's no way they'll lift that before the season starts. There's just no way.
Well, here's hoping, people. We want him to play. We're selfish fantasy owners, really. That's okay. We're okay with that.
Smoking pot. He's not hurting people. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad person. But I'm just kind of like, I don't even know how that's performance enhancing. Except for the fact that supposedly it does help with therapy, like to like relax your muscles.
Yeah. I think it's more so that he just can't stop himself. Like, you already got suspended. I agree. Like, they should be really different with the marijuana rules, but I mean, it's the rules right now, so can't do it.
It's like me and cake.
Can't stop. Once you pop, you just can't stop, people. But I'm going to have to stop you 2 ladies right now. That is the end of our show. Thank you so much. We had lots and lots of fun. Make sure to listen to us next show when we're covering tight ends, kickers, and defenses. Check us out on iTunes and at herfantasyfootball.com. Also, chat us up on Twitter at herfantasyfb. We love hearing from you. Until next week, no more faking it.